What is going on, everybody? Mario Mungia here, Infighting FX, Infighting Exchange. And oh boy, do we got some infighting for your asses today. We are gonna do a couple of hours here. I also have, god damn it, also have a show scheduled with Matt later on his show. So go over to, what the fuck? Go over to Talking About Radio, subscribe, and get ready. We're going to talk about boxing and MMA for these hours here while we wait on our guest, Rick Glaser. Rick Glaser, ladies and gentlemen, will be here in the building. If you don't know, if you haven't heard, uh, then you must not be online, on Twitter at least, or X. Some real beef going on. And Rick actually had Eddie respond to him based on this whole email situation. Eddie, who came out last week and gave a scathing interview where he essentially said that nothing was true in the boxing scene article that came out. We did a show on it. And, learned in real time, Eddie was basically saying that, nothing in there was true, or they didn't even have the things that were actually part of the addendums. And so where we are now is there's some serious doubt from fans, from boxing pundits. And so we're going to bring Rick on. We're going to talk to him, see what he knows. Yeah, Champ, Matt in the building. What's going on, Champ? So we're going to talk to Rick about Fury, Joshua, Hearn, Dana, Turkey, the whole situation going on, find out what he knows and how and maybe how he knows it. Maybe he'll tell us. Maybe he won't. Who knows? We're going to find out. But we'll also talk to him about the Teofimo scores. Still fallout. I figured that, oh shit, everybody would just be on, to the next thing. And that doesn't seem to be the case. People are still upset. There's still a whole bunch of clattering about it. So we're going to talk to Rick and see what he thinks as well. Um, let me see. And then, excuse me. And then later on, talk about the UFC fight coming up and the Hergovich and Moses fight coming up. The rumors are that it's probably not going to be a hugely successful pay-per-view. But at the end of the day, this could be one of the, like, you remember when Usyk fought, who was it? It was that first fight at heavyweight, right, where he looked a little sluggish. At the end of the day, I don't think that that was like a defining moment for him, but we'll see. I'm only here so I don't get fined. Hilarious. Check group chat for wrestling updates. Champ, we are going to do wrestling. Actually, I don't know what Matt's going to want to do. So, regarding a report that ESPN will not be renewing its contract with WWE at the end of the 5 year, a spokesman from ESPN issued the statement: "There is no truth to report that we have decided to renew, that we have not decided to renew." From Justin Barrasso, who's a much more reliable source than SEC Scoops. And for those that don't know, it was reported earlier today by SEC Scoops that a unnamed exec uh, or an unnamed source close to an exec said basically that ESPN was pissed off with the WWE deal. They're not happy with what they've gotten back from it. They don't think that they're going to recoup what they've even spent. That said, it seems like that's not true. And here's the thing: like me and Max and Matt, I actually talked about it with Abe too. Abe called Cap too. He called Cap and Mex called Cap for the same reason, basically. And I agreed with both of those reasons because it's like you still have you have a 5 year deal. You're in the 1 year of it, and you're gonna start this. This isn't gonna lead anywhere good, right? And so I can't see, even if it's true, even if it is true, I can't see anyone going on record, even off record, as an unnamed source to reveal that. So at the end of the day, it's not even that the story wasn't true; it's that the story has no legs. ESPN is not willing to go out into that limb, and so it's a walk back. I will say though, like the reporting has been consistent, right? Like ESPN was disappointed that the cable companies didn't foot the bill, right, for the WWE Network, or I'm sorry, the ESPN app. Now the price increase is coming, right? It's going to be $30 now, I believe, for the ESPN Unlimited, which is what you need to watch the WWE PLEs. And on top of that, like, you don't even need fucking for the rest of the year, right? November is the only show that they have left on the schedule for the rest of the year on ESPN. So, you know, there are issues with this all the time, right? DAZN, we had issues. I mean, we still have issues. So, you know, it's not to say these things can't get worked out. Wow, so you just reposted the show and didn't even read it? Wait, what? Didn't even. Wow, so you just reposted the show and didn't even read it. I'm not sure what he's talking about. What if the show was called Making Fun of Bret Hart with invite? No, it's not. Or cursing out Mario. Oh, why? Oh, I just read it. Yeah, that's a good point. I shouldn't just read mech stuff. Or the Mark Awards. Yeah, I like that. So anyway, we are definitely going to talk about that. And then again, I don't know what Matt. What are you going to want to do? Do you want to do like a Raw recap? Because if not, then maybe I'll just spend the last 30 minutes going over Raw. But if you're willing to do the wrestling stuff, then we could do that. Because man, I'll be honest, that Royce Keys thing was something. You know, I don't know how well it was supposed to go over. I don't know how a lot of other people took it. They're calling them the Shield 2.0. They did this like little thing in the middle. I don't even think they were intending to do it. I really don't. I think it was just something that happened and they thought it was going to look cool on TV. But yeah, it was a very confusing episode of Raw. Let's be honest. You know, you have Bronco Nemo who's in the fucking Los Perros del Mal, and then all of a sudden he's now Royce Key's henchman, right? And to be fair, he's on NXT as a part of OTM or Out the Mud, the tag team. And so I don't know, but all I know is Matt sent a hilarious video that I can't play, but it was hilarious. All in Raw review, thoughts on NFL players going back to college. Love it, love it, love it, love it all. I will be tapped in on my show, and we're gonna. And by the way, we're gonna go live from my channel on Twitch and X, right? So, or I think maybe just Twitch. But we'll be live on Matt's channel on YouTube. So, OTM is on the way to FYB. OTM is OTW to FYB. FYB. Feds your butt. I don't know. That was the best take I could give. But anyway, listen, we have a few other little things that we're going to talk about, and we're not going to get to this right now. We're going to wait until. Good God, that's loud. Okay. Okay. So we're gonna you know, talk with Rick. We're gonna get that interview in, and after that, we're gonna go to this topic. Max Kellerman and the rest of the show of Inside the Ring. Shout out to Coppinger and LaShawn McCoy. Also, Gabe Rosado, I guess, was in the building too. He's been like off and on. They've been like bringing people in for the fourth. But the question: can Connor Ben KO Ryan Garcia? It's a very interesting question, I think, and I think it also says a lot about the fight itself, right? Like a lot of people have a problem with the fight as far as like who are the two guys fighting. I get it. A lot of people aren't Connor Ben fans, and maybe even more people are less Ryan Garcia fans. But uh, I can tell you that the matchup is interesting enough that people are really, really starting to debate this. And so the idea that can Connor Ben KO Ryan is the question in a nutshell. Is that the only method of winning for Connor Ben? Can he outbox Ryan? Can he take large chunks of the fight and hold that momentum to a 12-round unanimous decision or split decision or something? Man, I don't know. I really don't. I want to say yes, definitely, but I don't think that there's a I don't think that there's a solid play on this. I really don't. But we're definitely going to
fold
watch.
under questioning.
And Zayas and a thriller, really.
Yeah.
And the front runner right now is Josh Kelly
but I would expect that fight to happen.
And
All
Boots,
right. Well,
what's
I'll
going on?
find it while we're in the background. But yeah, we're gonna talk about that today. Definitely getting more and more excited for the what the hell? There we go. Getting more and more excited for the Conor Ben and Ryan Garcia fight. That said, though, we do have some quality action this weekend. We'll have a official preview for the fight probably tomorrow. I'll do it, but this is what we got to talk about as well today, and that is the really awful boxing schedule that we have left. Guys, I've been around for a really long time, right? And I grew up in the HBO Showtime era, right? So when I was a kid, Showtime was like basically the top dog. HBO, they were battling it back like the Monday Night Wars. Then HBO secured that top spot for a while before Mayweather went back to Showtime or went to Showtime, and then Canelo went, and so it was this whole thing. De La Hoya, the PBC split, all that. So in that time, right, Showtime and HBO, and really it was mostly Showtime during the Espinoza era. They would put out like the calendar, right? So like when you're a fan of football, right? Like let's say I'm a fan of the Cowboys, or I am a fan of the Cowboys. Like I can't wait for the Cowboys schedule to come out, right? Or in the Texans. So when those schedules come out, that's when me as a fan, my fandom starts getting going, right? I'm like, okay, let's see how many games are we going to win. So then I do the game, right, where we count all the games that we could win, the games we're probably going to lose, how many of them are 50-50, and then, you go through that whole debate in your head before you bring it to somebody else to debate, right? That's what boxing fans used to have. We used to have these schedules that were like 6 months, maybe 5 months in advance. Like we never were in July and didn't have the rest of the year panned out. But that's exactly what's going on right now. Exactly what's going on right now. Oops. Uh, so again, we have some good fights coming up this weekend. That's absolutely true. Okay, the Chantel Cameron and Michaela Mayer fight. Okay, this is a unification fight for Cameron's WBO belt and Mayer's WBA and WBC titles. Caroline Dubois on the undercard fighting Amelia Moore. That's going to be a very good fight, I think. Terry Harper and Miranda Reyes. I think that could be not a fight that's, I mean, maybe it's close, but more so that it'll be. I think it'll be a fight that is fun. And so you got Gallagher and Ashley Johnson too in a 6 rounder. And so we have that fight, and then earlier in the day for us American fans, or for those of us on the American side, we have the Moses fight. Uh, the Moses fight against Filip Perkovic is for the vacant IBF heavyweight title. It is being fought in London. Not a super awesome undercard, but Sam Noakes and Baranchik is a decent fight. I am also very interested to see Konstantin Ursu and Ben Vaughn. That should be a decent fight. I can't believe it's 12 rounds. It must be like some sort of weird British title on the line or something. But we have literally nothing after that. Yes, it's an underwhelming schedule that's left. Shout out to Team Batman in the chat. It's not just underwhelming, it's so incomplete. Guys, look. Wait, let me do something here. Does that make it clearer for y'all? Yeah, that looks better. Okay, so the Alicia Bumgard. Oh, wait. Okay, my bad. Never mind. Okay, so the Alicia Bumgardner fight, this fight in Arlington, Texas, has just been added. Okay, it was just added. Even though a lot of people knew that the fight was happening, it wasn't like officially announced. And so it's going to be in Arlington, Texas. This is the last fight on the card, guys. This is like the last fight of the year scheduled. And I know there's obviously going to be fights in the remainder of November and December. My point is that there is no controlling body of boxing that seems to have this um, this ability in their stable to present fights, right? So we used to live in an era where it was a civil war between Golden Boy and Top Rank, right? But they had enough fighters in each of their stables to be able to present a promotion, a boxing promotion. And so the idea that we're now so split out and separated, right? You got PBC, Golden Boy, Top Rank, Frank, Matchroom, uh, you know, Did I say PBC? And now you got Zuffa and Dana, and all of that is on the side of what where does Turkey pay? Like where's the money coming from? All of that, right? So where we're at, Canelo Alvarez, Christian Billy, probably the biggest fight of the year. Maybe you could say Ryan Garcia and Conor Ben is because it's much more A side B side as opposed to the Canelo and Billy fight. Most American fans don't know who Christian and Billy is and have never seen him fight. But that said, you got Dalton Smith and Alberto Puello. That's a good fight, but it's not like a big fight or anything like that. Um, I mean, going down the list, guys, this is like borderline pathetic. Ben Whitaker versus Connor Wallace, like, okay, that's a cool UK fight. Nishidi Sam Goodman is actually a fight that I can't wait to watch, but it's in Tokyo. Am I going to even be able to watch it? So we keep going up the list, and I mean that's it. We're in September already. Isaac Cruz, Nestor Bravo. The undercard's okay. Uh, I was hoping we would be able to see the Tobias fight, but I don't think they're going to show it anywhere because they don't even have an opponent. And then you have obviously the Conor Ben Ryan Garcia fight, but this is it, guys. I'm excited to see Katie Taylor in what will be her likely last fight ever. But I mean, she's fighting Flora. It's not like it's a situation where you know, like this is something you could watch on a Sunday or, catch it on the replay. Like these aren't like super big fights. So then you have to ask yourself, is everything that we are not getting at this point based on the fact that AJ and Fury has not been signed, right? So much of the money that comes from where these fights are coming from. I mean, you have Netflix, right? And the word is that they're the ultimate basis of why this fight wanted to change. The argument is that they were not super happy with Tyson Fury's um, numbers, and they weren't super happy with having to put the fight on early. They would prefer to have it during prime time in America. But all of that is after the fact that this contract has been signed, right? Like, that's the problem with this whole narrative right now is that everyone is ignoring the fact that this fight was already signed. And the idea of continuing to move the goalpost or like change the parameters of the fight, I can't see how that is a narrative that points only to Eddie. I can't because you're in a position, right? Let's explain like right now what boxing is. Right now, boxing right now is basically like, fuck, what's like a good example? Like, y'all, does anybody remember Pogs? Probably not, right? That's gonna be terrible. Okay, I just dated myself there, but it's like a situation where everybody has their like special toy that they don't want broken, right? And so everybody has their own fighter and nobody's willing to risk putting these fighters against other fighters. See, back in the day when Golden Boy and Top Rank did it, if one of them lost, it didn't matter. They had other guys in their stables that they were pushing, and these were companies that had plans. They had a future. They had tiers, right? You had your C level fighters, you had your B level fighters, your A level fighters, and then you had your, you know, uh, sort of like gatekeeper types, you know what I mean? Old names that are still fighting, that you use to build up a up and comer. But that's where we're at right now, right? The idea that AJ and Fury is this fight that just should be simply made. Yes, I agree, but why isn't it being simply made? They're two UK fighters fighting outside the UK. They're two guys being promoted by guys that aren't the promoter of this fight. They're being promoted by a guy who hasn't promoted any of their fights. And so the more and more I look at this, the more I say to myself, how did Eddie get put in a position where he is the soul, like they're trying to paint him as the sole bad guy? And then this idea, this narrative that we heard that there is this shout out to Bruce in the chat, said Mario, salute, champ, salute right back to you. But there's this idea that that the fight isn't going to be made, or the fight's not being made because Eddie specifically is playing what leverage he has on his side as it relates to this fight to further advance Matchroom's stability and future as it relates to, Turkey and all that, and DAZN and all that. So it's not just, hey, let's make this fight. These fights are worth so much more to promoters and to the fighters themselves. Opportunity is less, right? It seemed like Shakur, when is he going to fight again? Devin hasn't fought. Like, all the Tank hasn't fought. Like, the fight game is becoming increasingly scarce, right? And the fact that we don't have a lot of fights makes fights that we shouldn't look at as like big time badass fights, and they are. Like, Conor Ben Ryan Garcia is a good fight. I don't I don't think it should be a pay-per-view. Why? Why would it be a pay per view? I get the draw aspect of it, so you can make it a pay per view. But what about these two guys are pay per view? This isn't the number one versus the number two. This isn't a fight in which you're going to solidify which one is the best to take on Shakur or Devin or Tank or whatever. This is a situation where both of these guys are in desperate need of PR. So the idea of them just winning a single fight and coming back and being accepted, that's not the road they're on, right? Ryan has to do a lot more than beat Conor Ben uh, to solidify himself or re-solidify himself in that position. Conor Ben's going to have to do a lot more than just beat Ryan Garcia. Now, if they could knock one, if one of them can knock the other out, that's a much different story. Um, but we're romanticizing a fight between two drug cheats because it's the best that we have right now. It's all that we're getting. It's all that they're going to give us. And it just feels like I read this tweet today. I can't remember who said it. Damn. But it was a writer that I follow, obviously, in boxing, and they said something along the lines of, I think the rest of 2020 is going to be shit. Like, we're going to finish out the decade in not a great place, but by the end of this decade into the next, there'll be an establishment of, boxing solidified. And that's their way of saying they think Dana White and Zuffa are going to win the boxing wars, take it over, and essentially make it to the UFC for boxing. And while I think it seems like logical to think that way, because this is a group in Zuffa and Dana White, these are power players, right? There's an MMA guy that I follow too. Damn it, I can't remember his name either. But he basically said, like, these boxing guys weren't ready for Dana. They weren't ready for Zuffa. They weren't ready for the UFC, right? These guys have played a different game their whole life. And here came Dana, right? And instead of just trying to bulldoze with his name alone, he came into this thing set up with a financier in Turkey who was willing to give him the keys, and is not just that, but a favorable White House and administration able to change parameters of boxing law that make it nearly impossible for the UFC to succeed in the model that they, have been successful with. So everybody's like safeguarded. Everybody's protecting their own fighters. Everybody's protecting their future because the future of boxing is so uncertain. Okay? It is incredibly difficult to say where this is all headed. All I know is that the idea that boxing can kind of go on this shit hiatus and then like come back and be just like fucking booming. Listen, all I know is that there are going to be a lot of people that you lose, right? How many people that would be boxing fans and would tune into fights, aren't going to see anything this year, right? How many of them are going to give a shit about Ryan Garcia? How many of them are going to give a shit about Canelo? So if we are losing more and more fans because fighters are fighting less but talking more shit and frustrating the fandom, right? I did a whole show on Tank talking shit yesterday, right? And this narrative, and people came at me with, was like, and I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying that this is what the narrative was. Like, you can't really call Tank a piece of shit because Haney said this first, blah blah. And look, at the end of the day, I don't give a shit. Tank was way out of pocket. He's an asshole for what he put, and at the end of the day, I just think karma's gonna. And the other thing is like you use like God and your religion, and it's like, bro, I'm sorry, God don't fuck with that shit. And so I don't know if Tank resolves as the same kind of draw in the way that I'm not sure boxing will sustain this, right? We used to have people pass the torch, right? We used to have these fights in which fighters would continue to fight the biggest. I mean, De La Hoya's last few fights were Mayweather and Pacquiao. I mean, not in, obviously they were spread out, but I'm just saying, like, you go back and look at his last, like, what was it, 3 fights, 4 fights? Those are two of the guys that he fought, right? Uh, you think Canelo's gonna fight Benavidez? No. You think he's gonna fight Jai? No. You think he's gonna try to get the Crawford fight again? Probably. But there is not going to be that fighter that gets the rub from Canelo out the sport. And, same thing existed with Floyd Mayweather, right? And you can't really blame him. I mean, he just beat everybody. But you could say he didn't give opportunities to guys that would have a chance to beat him. But then that's the same thing that's going on with Canelo, right? To come back and fight him, Billy, off of the Crawford loss, I understand. But where are we headed? What are we headed? A Shiraz fight? I mean, I like that fight, but is that going to be the thing that, kicks boxing off? Look, when I was with the Boxing Voice several years ago, I got into a really heated debate with Ness on air. And this debate led to the nickname that they would give me that would stick for the rest of my career at the Boxing Voice. And that nickname was Manchester Mario, as in Manchester, England. And they said that I was a fake American and that I was a UK lover and all this stuff. And the reason they would say that is because, you know, 5, 10 years ago, I was saying that the UK was taking over, that American boxing was dying, and that the UK fandom was really keeping boxing alive in a lot of ways. Um, and so obviously, Ness like fucking talks shit and he's like, oh, blah blah, like, Mike Tyson, blah blah. And, his uh, you know, narrow thinking as an American, I think, is what contributed to that. But look where we are today. And at the end of the day, I can guarantee you Nessa doesn't remember any of this combo, but more so because he wouldn't want to say he's wrong. But that's exactly what happened. I was given a moniker because I told the truth on the Boxing Voice, the place that's supposed to be for the truth. And I was ridiculed because they did not like what I had to say. They did not like the truth. And now we exist here today, and it's like, if boxing's going to survive, is it going to survive with America? I mean, you could say that the idea of them wanting to come to New York makes America still that place, right? The place you need to get over to make your name to become that star. If AJ never fights in New York, does he become AJ? I'm not saying he doesn't, but it certainly did help. Um, all I know is that Eddie said that there were emails that were sent that were made to look like they were from him. And again, this goes back to you weren't ready for the way that this team plays. You weren't ready for the way that these guys operate. And he said it, and I'll pull it up. Let me see if Rick's uh, closer. All right. I just texted him. Let me see. I'm going to pull it up real quick. What, who had that? Where did I see it? I know I saw it somewhere. Oh, there's Rick. Hello? Okay. Oh, got you, got you. No, nothing much, man. I'm live already, so if you can jump on whenever, I'm here. But if you need to reschedule, I understand. Yes. Well, you don't have to turn on the mic though. You if you want to just leave the mic on, off, I mean the camera off, you can, but it will be mic and audio. Perfect. Get set up. No problem. You take your time. No problem, Rick. No rush. Okay. See you soon. Bye. All right. He's getting set up. So, let me find out. Where was that Eddie Hearn? Wait, where was it? Let's see. Hold on. Okay. This isn't the one that I saw, but this is good enough. All right.
A phone call from 3 or 4 journalists today, basically saying we've been fed this information from, let's just say, a rival or a promotional organisation that have told us that we've managed to get our hands on an email. I mean, by the way, that doesn't happen. Basically, you were given an email to run a narrative of a story.
Here's my problem though, right? Here's my problem. Everything that was on that I saw in the addendums seems like those are the issues, right? So if those aren't the issues, then what are the issues? Because I'd assume that Dana White, uh, I okay, I'm gonna think like Eddie for a second and talk like if I'm Eddie, uh, so that there's no mistaking that this isn't my opinion. This is the way I assume Eddie thinks, right? So like Eddie's thinking like this. Oh, mate. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna do the voice. But the thing is that he's probably thinking to himself, this is a situation where they're trying to pressure me into caving, right? And then they're doing it by essentially like getting the media on his side. The problem is they're telling a really good story, right? They're telling a really good story. It's not so much like it's good story. It's more of like believable, right? It's more believable. Uh oh, we got the OG himself, Mr. Rick Glaser. What is going on, champ?
Oh, just trying to make a living today on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon, and we're already into fall weather in Buffalo. It was about 58 degrees overnight. It's a high of 72 today, so we're already into early fall weather here. So it is what it
Whoa,
is.
whoa. Yeah. I see that. So first of all, I want to thank you for coming on. Just want to give you a voice real quick. Second of all, I want to ask, how are you doing, man? It's been a while since we spoke. I saw that
Um,
you took your wife out to a nice brunch this past Sunday. How's she doing, man?
yeah, we went to a really nice 5-star restaurant for brunch. My wife and I have a hobby. You could probably tell by looking at me, but being 40 pounds overweight. But yeah, our hobby is we go for fine dining. We try to go with her schedule, my schedule. It's hard, but we try to go once a week for fine dining, and once a week for casual dining. And it's this place that we've been trying to get into for 3 months, and I didn't want to pull any strings or make phone calls, and I don't want to do that to give anybody my money. Just call up like a civilian and get a seat, and we finally got a seat, and the place is sensational. Beautiful shrimp, fish, salmon, lox, just amazing,
Real,
really
real quick,
amazing food.
I want to go back to what you just said real quick because people might not understand this or know this. Like you're from that era, like that real New York East Coast. You know, I'm not saying
Right.
you were mobbed up, but the mob and everything. So you come from a place of guys where it's like, you know, you slip the 20 in the hostess's pocket, and then they tell
Well,
you
no,
to leave. That's yours.
actually, I don't have to do that. I make phone calls if I want to, but yeah,
But there was
I
a time where you had to, right?
right, yes,
What's
yes,
the
there
most
was.
you ever
Eh,
gave a waiter? What's the most you ever gave a waiter for a good table?
I actually I took a bunch of people out for dinner uh back in 2023. It was $1,000. I gave the waiter 300.
What?
Hmm.
Whoa. Whoa. All right. Anytime you need me to be the waiter at y'all's fight parties, hey, call me
Yeah,
up. That's
yeah.
that's a
Wasn't a
quality
fight
price right
party.
there.
This was a VIP dinner. I had an attorney settle a lawsuit for me that was non-boxing related, and it was another business that I was involved with, that I was in a buy-sell agreement with, and we settled a. We threatened to sue. We didn't actually sue. We threatened to sue, and we settled out of court for just what we would have won in court. So it was a great thing. So I took him to dinner, and some other people were there with us, and you know how it goes. So there you
Absolutely.
go.
So listen, I want to first of all thank you for coming on. Have a lot of people that have been waiting in the chat because they want to know what you know, obviously, and I've been catching the people up with what's been going on. Now, um, I want to start here first and foremost, right? AJ Fury, there seems to be a big holdup. There was an email that went out last week that suggested there were addendums that were being asked for by Eddie. That started the beef. That started the rounds of salacious talking, right? Um, where do you see this AJ Fury fight right now? Will it get
I,
done?
I,
Do they
I
have it?
I'm going to cut you short right now, and I'm going to tell you I don't think it's going to get done. I think this is a smoke screen that Fury doesn't want. That I'm sorry, that AJ doesn't want to fight. Remember, this deal was made supposedly with them helping fund the Joshua Parenga fight, and you saw he got knocked down twice, and he's got no punch resistance, and now they're second guessing the fight, and now I don't think they want the fight. I think this is all a smoke screen where they're making it impossible. They found a loophole in the contract saying that their contract said it would be any in the UK when it was supposed to be from Jump Street with Netflix financing this thing. It was going to be always in America. It was L.A., Vegas, and New York City were the three choices, and Netflix is calling the shots here. They're the ones putting up all the money. Eddie's not coming up with fuck all. He's not coming up with a dime, and he says he says on one hand he's defending his fighters' rights, and he was being this martyr for the British boxing fans. Well, none of those emails, none of the information that I received that was all his demands, none of it benefited AJ, and none of it benefited Great Britain. So I don't know what he's talking about. Talking Babaluba again, Eddie. Eddie's just a
So,
hypocrite. That's all there
so,
is to it.
and first of all, thank you for teaching us what Babaluba meant this week. But
Oh,
I want to
okay.
start here
Well,
first.
wait. If they saw it, you saw it, but maybe they didn't. Babaluba is a street word, is my invented street word for bullshit, con, and gaff.
I'd heard
So
you used it before.
yeah,
I'll be honest, I didn't know what it was. I thought you were talking about a
yeah,
suit. I'll be honest. But listen,
no,
I want to ask you this because the pushback is that there was already a contract signed. And nobody from Zufa, nobody from Turkey, nobody from the other side is disputing that there was a contract signed with the UK. Now, I know you've been in this business a long time. I
right,
know that you just made a deal a little bit ago. I mean, we're not going to talk about it, but you just finished making a deal. So if
right.
anybody understands contract law, it's you.
I've
So
also been
you
I've
would
also
not
been an
you
expert
would not
witness.
sign. I know
I've
you have,
also
yes,
been an expert witness in 41 boxing related lawsuits, so I'm
and
very
so you
familiar with that. Yes.
understand contracts. So you would not sign a contract that stated something and then someone else came and said, let's change it on a handshake deal. I know you wouldn't do that, right?
Well,
I know you wouldn't. So
I'm
is
not
that no?
saying. Here's what I'm saying. I'm not saying Eddie's wrong. What I am saying is his demands were all about him, not about AJ and not about British boxing. He wants to put on fights that have nothing to do with British boxing. None of the fighters are British. And his undercard fights, he wants to get paid for this, paid for that, paid for this, front money for this. I mean, it's crazy. And to be perfectly frank with you, if it was about British boxing, if it was about AJ, I get it, but it's not. It's a lot of babaluba there.
Listen, I'm not pushing back on that at all, right? I
Mhm.
agree with you that Eddie is trying to do what's best for Matchroom in the same way that Oscar did what was best for Golden Boy when he wanted to sign with HBO and he said, "You want my next fights, and you're going to give my Golden Boy fighters, fights too." So this
Mhm.
idea that he's like,
I know
we
when
can
he signed with
two
the
things
Zone, you mean when he
yes,
went to with the
so
Zone?
two
But yeah,
things can be true, right? Two things
yes.
can be true. One, Eddie could be um self-interest, but at the same time, is it not the UK fight fandom that supported AJ and Fury? Is it
Well,
not them who built up
how
their
come,
career?
except for the parade, how come all his recent fights have been in Saudi Arabia? If that's true,
Because that's where the money's at. That's where the money
well, then
is
this is where
coming
the
from.
money. That's the point. This is where the money is in New York City. That's why
Okay,
they want it there.
totally understand that. But then isn't there to a degree boxing is taxing their best fans in the UK by suggesting, hey,
They
you pay more to
box
fly to see this fight and you stay up
Mario.
at 3 a.m. to watch this fight?
Mario, much respect to you. Much respect to all
Yes,
boxing
sir.
fans. They've been taxing boxing fans forever. It's the only sport you physically have to
Very true.
pay for out of your own pocket.
Very true.
The tickets are astronomical for fights. It's crazy. I can go to a minor league baseball game with five people. I'm sorry, a major league baseball game with five people. Eat at the stadium. It'll cost with five people now. Okay, you feed five people and you buy tickets. And now, not the best tickets, but get in the place, and that costs you about probably $100 a person. The same one ticket, not including food for a boxing match that's in the third section, is $500. So I mean, come on. We've been killing boxing fans. That's why boxing is failing in America, because we've been killing the boxing fans. I
Agreed.
mean,
I agree.
a pay-per-view in England is $20. A pay-per-view over here is $80. It's ridiculous.
Here's I guess the only place, and again, it's not about Eddie. It is about the UK
Could
fans.
you
Both
speak up
things
a
can
little
be
bit?
true.
Could
Yes,
you
sir.
speak up a little bit? Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Both things can be true, right? Both
Yes,
things can be true. And I think that
absolutely.
at the end of the day, the UK supported Tyson Fury when he was the narrative alcoholic, drug addict, depressed, overweight, but they were there to support him. American fans hated him.
Why
AJ
did that
in his
stop?
car wreck. Probably not, right? But that's probably why it would sell in New York. So good
Just
point.
a joke.
So no. Very, very good point. So at the end of the day, I guess it comes down to this for me, right? Is the UK fandom has been the fandom that has kept boxing thriving. I get that New York is the bigger market, but ultimately, it's the people that paid the money to go see the Fury fights, the AJ fights, the DAZN pay-per-views. Those are the people at the end of the day that own the shops around London or around Wembley that will get people to come in and
Well,
tourists. And so
it's
there's
a funny thing you say that.
go ahead.
That's the truth in the volume, but in the quantity section, yes. But as far as I'm getting a lot of comments on social media, basically saying, "Hey, I can't wait to go to New York," and they're from London and from the UK period, and they can't wait to go to New York for the fight. So I mean, it's what it's like anything else in this world. It's always a case of the has and the has nots and the has beens and the haves.
Well
So
said.
some people have it, some people don't. Some people go to New York, some people watch it on the television over there, or as they call it, the telly over
The
there.
telly, yeah.
And yes, and it is what it is. But whoever puts up the money rules. And as far as I'm concerned, that's the way business works. And to be perfectly frank with you, Netflix is putting up the money.
Yeah.
Okay, and so is Turkey Al Sheikh, for that matter. The guarantees.
Yeah, I'll be honest, it's hard to make the argument I'm making because neither Fury or AJ is coming out saying, oh, we wanted because it's like if the fighters that are from there don't care, then why should I, right? But
That's
ultimately,
right.
I do care. But that said, I want to ask you this, okay? Now, I respect you. You've been in this business a long time. There are a lot of people out there that have narratives about you that I know aren't true. I know how deep your roots are in boxing. So when I ask you this next question, I'm coming from this as a journalist. In no
Yeah.
way am I coming this in any other way. But I do
Mhm.
want to ask you. Eddie came out and said that this narrative was sent out about him. Did
Mhm.
you receive that email? Were you part of the people that received that narrative? And have you been enticed in any way to put this narrative out?
No, actually, I put out a tweet today that Eddie and his top people in his company have been calling around to people in boxing, trying to find out, how I obtain this information and all this stuff. And because it is true, everything I said was true, and I do have the information. And he's wondering how I got it. Well, he should be really asking the question is why am I been at him for over a month now about this fight and other things he's been doing? That's the
You
real
did tweet
question he
that.
needs to ask.
What's the answer to that?
The real question is he lies about everything and he's a hypocrite of the highest order. And I don't like when people lie to the public. This is a tough enough business and a tough enough sport. You don't lie. Every 9 out of 10 things he says are lies. If that man said in the middle of the day it's light out, I'd check. Okay. And if it was the middle of the night, he said it was dark out, I'd check. He just doesn't tell the truth. And he's a hypocrite. He talks about all this stuff about the UK, how great it is, and how I'm all for the UK. The motherfucker lives in fucking Monaco, the country of Monaco, to save fucking, so he doesn't have to pay British taxes because there's no taxes in Monaco, no income taxes in Monaco, like there's none in Dubai. So I mean, the guy talks out of both sides of it. I'm telling you, Dana White shouldn't use that octagon. If he doesn't have the cage show up for the fight, that octagon, he should use Eddie's mouth because it's got 8 sides to it. The motherfucker.
I hear what you're saying, and I wouldn't even say that I agree with half the things Eddie says, right? But that said,
Half.
is it not picking the devil you choose? Because couldn't everything you say be said about Dana White too?
No, because Dana White 90% tells the truth.
Mm.
Eddie
90%.
10% is the truth. 90% is a lie. I'm going to tell you what happened about 3-4 years ago. I don't remember the fighter. Don't ask me. I don't remember. Okay, but I remember the incident. Eddie made an announcement on Twitter that such and such turned down such and such for a fight. Okay, and I said, oh, okay, that's typical. I said the guy's left-handed and can punch. I didn't think anything of it. So about an hour or two later, the manager, that fighter, calls me up looking for a fight. I says, didn't you just turn? And this guy's not on Twitter. And I go, didn't you just turn down such and such? He goes, no, we didn't get offered that fight. He says, well, Eddie Hearn said you turned down a fight. He says, we never. So he called up his partner and he basically said, hey, he said, we never got offered that fight. What's he talking about? There you go. They're looking for the reason why they called me. They were looking for a fight.
Hey, they said Eddie and Matchroom got more leaks than the White House. Yo, they got Lance Pugmire on the email too. Listen, final question here because I do want to talk to you about Rolly and I do want to talk to you about that fight and the judging. But last aspect of this fight, Dana and his place in boxing right now. Okay, do you think that he needs these kinds of fights, the Canelo Crawfords, the AJ Furies of the world, to solidify his place in boxing, being that he's never grown a homegrown fighter, being that he's never had a stable to
No,
manage
he doesn't.
boxing?
No, he doesn't
Need
have.
these fights.
No, he doesn't have to do them. He's got his TV deal with Paramount Plus, and they can just stroll along and do their thing and stuff. No, they want to become. I have said this about Zupa, and I'm a no holds barred guy. I tell it like it is. I do a lot of business with Golden Boy, And a few years ago, I put out a negative tweet, not a negative tweet, but I said something that was not flattering of Oscar De La Hoya, and I love Oscar, but it was something particularly that I felt was wrong. I put out a tweet, and I got a phone call from somebody at Golden Boy. He says, "Rick, come on, do us a favor, lay off, please." I said, "Okay." I was, being nice, but I'm an equal opportunity provider. If you fuck up, I'm going after you. And that's just how I operate.
Understood. So listen, T.O. Rowley happened this past week. The cards have been criticized heavily by both sides, which is something a bit different than what we're used to seeing, right? We're used to seeing one side complain really bad and the other side trying to like kind of blow it off. This was a situation where neither side was happy about the judging. Rick, was that a controversial decision, the majority decision
Well,
for T.O.?
let me say
And
this.
is there a problem with judging?
Oh, there's definitely a problem with judging because they're not penalizing the judges for bad scores. They just keep rolling out the same fucking morons. And that's not right. You got to set guys down for 6 months, a year. Just like you suspend fighters for steroids, you should suspend fucking fighters for bad scores. No, it's no different.
That's interesting. So what did you think of fair
I
score
thought it was a
with
118. I scored at 118, 110, 117, 111 in that area. There was one round that could have went either way. I don't remember what round, but I gave Rowley the first to the fifth. Rowley never won a round after the fifth round. So
Yeah.
it was an easy fight to score. I
So
thought
you don't think he won that round where he hurt him in the 10th because T.O. won most of that round, but Rowley did the bigger thing in that round.
No, not really. I think that was the round. That was the round. That was the flip-flop round. That was the round I could have given to him. That was the you mentioned the 10th. So because I had it like 118, 110, maybe 117, 111. I could see, but the 116, 112 was a little too close. 115, 13 was ridiculous, and a draw was absolutely absurd. Glenn Feldman's turned in some shitty scorecards lately, and that motherfucker needs to go.
Now, what do you think of T.O.'s viability? Some people are saying that the fact that he's kept going up in weight the way he did has made him a less effective fighter. He's no longer.
Well, there's no question about that. He hasn't brought his power up from 35 to 40, let alone 40 to 47. His punch.
Marketable at the weight class? Though?
Yeah, he's marketable. He's marketable. He's got a personality. He's actually a pretty cool guy when it comes down to it. He's a little wacky, but he's a pretty cool guy when it comes down to it. Okay, and he's got fan appeal. I mean, he's not any superstar. Don't get me wrong, but he's got fan appeal. He's got a nice style. He fights with an eye-pleasing style. And he's a good fighter. I don't see him beating Jack Catterall in a mandatory. Jack Catterall's is mandatory. I don't see him beating Jack Catterall.
Now, Bruce in the chat wants to know if you have any info on us as far as how the Rowley T.O. pay-per-view numbers turned out. Any early?
They had to be bad because a normal sign. The only guy in boxing history that has done great gates and horrible pay-per-view buys is Tank Davis. Is Gervonta Tank Davis, and that's because people have to buy their way in, and they're stealing the pay-per-view.
Well said. So, speaking of Tank Davis, this is what one of the final topics I wanted to bring up to you. Obviously, he's been in so much trouble. There's been so many things that have happened. He mentioned Devin Haney's mom, who may or may not have passed recently, or certainly has been ill.
Well, she passed.
She did pass. It has been confirmed. Okay.
Yeah, because I put out a condolences and I tagged them. I said condolences to you at Real Devin Haney, and he said and wrote back like this, and I offered my condolences. I says keep your head up, champ. And then I got into the Tank thing about that was a real low move that Tank did, that low life Tank did, and life has plans for him.
Does boxing have plans for him still, do you think?
If he gets his shit together. But he's far from getting his shit. Al Heyman's already said he's not fighting, told people he's not fighting until sometime next year. So that's not a good sign.
Wow, wow. A final thing on that too, real quick, because you've been a staunch critic of the PBC, and I honestly feel like a lot of your criticism is just fair, and so
You mean warranted?
warranted. Thank you.
Okay.
And so when I
I'm not
say
fair.
that,
I'm not fair. I'm not fair. Just warranted.
good. That's very good. What do you think of the PBC into zone now? I know you've been critical of everything they did with Prime and all that, but is there a way that they turn the ship around being under the same umbrella with everyone else? Or do you just
No,
not
no,
trust their
no, not
position
really,
moving
because
forward?
they're losing champs by the day, and ticket sellers. Earl Spencer's got wiped out. He lost. He's done. He's retired. Keith Thurman got destroyed. He's done. If he ever fights again, what 3-4 years from now, he'll be 40 years old. I mean, he's a joke. What's he gonna do? A fight every 3-4 years? Um, they lost the champ the other night. Rowley, he lost. They didn't have any options on the other guy. I mean, what are they down to? They got one more fight with David Benavides. His contract's up. I don't see him re-signing. If he does,
Nor
he
do I.
does. Javante Davis is always in legal trouble. What do they have?
Mm, very,
I mean,
very
Gary Antoine Russell is a good fighter and can't sell a fucking ticket.
Hey, before we let you go, I know it's a couple weeks away, but Ryan Garcia, Connor
I
Ben,
got I got till 4 o'clock. I got an interview at 4 o'clock with a newspaper in the UK.
awesome, awesome. So we'll 5 minutes and we'll let you go. What do you think of the Ryan Garcia Connor Ben fight? Who do you favor, and what could
I
be
think
the
I,
outcome?
I think it's a fantastic fight for the fans because they both have huge fan bases. I mean, there's no. I mean, both have huge fan bases. One is more international, meaning the fights in the United States, and most of his fans are in the UK. Ryan Garcia's got huge following here. They both have big followings. They're huge. They both have outgoing personalities. I think it's a clash of two guys that they move their mouth better than they move everything else. Let's put it that way to you. And
Yeah.
I think that I give an edge to Ryan because he makes the weight easier, and he's got faster hands. He's more accurate. Um, I think um, I think Connor runs out of steam. I don't think. I think he's going to be weight drained at 147. I favor Ryan Garcia in the fight, but Connor Ben can punch and he's capable.
Mm.
So there you go. But I do
You
think
talked
Garcia wins the fight.
you talked about Chris Eubank earlier this week, and you mentioned that you think that he's just going to go back to Ben. What do you think of him and
Ben
his
Shalom, you mean?
Ben Shalom? Uh-huh.
Yeah.
What do you think of his potential return? Do you think he still has some marketability left?
Yeah, oh, he's definitely marketable. His manager is a dear friend of mine. They call his nickname is Napper. Everybody knows him as Napper. They don't even know his real name. His real name, first name is Elliot. And if my first name was Elliot, I'd want a nickname too. That would stick. So
Yeah, that's fucked up,
in
man.
the meantime, I've told him that it's not a secret. Um, I've told Napper that listen, the guy's got tremendous following in the UK still. He's a hell of a guy. People love him. He's got good fighting ability. He's a little limited, but he's got good fighting ability overall. He's won some big fights. He's lost some big fights, and his marketability is there. And at 68, if he still has legs left under him, he'll do just fine. He didn't have any legs in the rematch with Connor Ben, but he'll have his legs, and he should do just fine.
We have 2 more minutes, so just one last thing. TNT has come out and they have started putting out boxing. It feels like what I remember about Tuesday night fights. It feels like what I remember about the greatest era of Showbox and ESPN Friday Night Fights. Do you think TNT is doing a good job, and do you think they have the sustainability to be able to be a successful program
I
of
think that as long as the zone partners up with them, they'll stay in. They want to partner up with them. They'll stay in boxing.
Mm. Okay. Okay.
I
Well,
think that
listen.
I think that's the multi-million dollar question right there. If the zone wants us, if the zone will keep partnering up with them, they'll stay in boxing. They don't want to be in the boxing business. They want to be a content provider. There's a big difference.
Ooh,
The
well
zone
said.
wants to be in the
Well
boxing
said.
business.
Well
What's
said.
that?
Well said. Oh, I said
Mhm.
well said. Very, very good point. Listen,
Thank
Rick,
you.
thank you so much. I know you got 10 minutes, so I'll give you some time to prepare for your next one. I appreciate your time as always. Please give out your social media real quick.
If you want to reach me on Twitter or X, they call it these days, it's at Rick Glaser, RickGlaser, the okay, OG. So it's Rick Glaser, okay,
It's
at
fucked
Rick
up they took your
Glaser,
other
the
one down,
OG.
champ. It's fucked up they took your other one down.
Yeah. It goes hacked into, and I had over 15,000 followers. But
I
I'm
know, dude.
in 3 months. I've got like around 2,300 now. So I'm rolling back into it
You
now.
got that's all you can
But
do, champ.
yep,
Appreciate it. Hey, listen, thank you so much for your time. Please say hello to your wife for me and have a
I
good rest of
will.
your day, champ.
You're a
You have a good
gentleman.
one.
I always enjoy your show. We do this so many years apart. We've got to do this
I
more
know.
often.
You're absolutely right about that for sure. I
We
think
have to
thanks to
stop
my
meeting
brother
so
stuff.
infrequently.
You're absolutely right. All right, champ. Good one. Have a
Enjoy.
good one. We'll talk to you soon. All right, that was Rick Glaser telling us everything that he has regarding uh let me see. I don't know why my mic is down. And that's what they were saying too on the thing. Let me see if it's my shit over. So I'll be honest, I did not think I was gonna be done before 3. So we'll chill for a little bit longer because I have my show with Matt in a little bit. Um so anyway, takes this new shit. You're a fucking hater, dude. Mex is a piece of shit. Hilarious. Uh Yo, Matt is hilarious, bro. I should have put that shit on the thing too. That would have been so funny. I need to get like I've been looking for like a soundboard or like a sound card so I could do like buttons and stuff. I want the bah! That would have been good when he told us the story about hating Eddie. he said, "Yo," he said, "Yeah, you should ask why." I said, "Oh, well, why?" Because he put that on Twitter. I was gonna ask him that question. Like that was one of my questions that I had. So he went into it, and I was like, "Good, this is perfect, right?" He's organically going into it, and I honestly thought he was gonna give us like this story, right? Like this very specific story. And he's like, he's a fucking liar. That's all. I was like, good God. Um, but anyway, shout out to Rick. Make sure you go and follow him. See, and that's the thing. Like, man, everybody talks shit about me, dude. Everybody, like, as if I'm this like person that won't just like converse, right? That's like, I literally you could, and Mex does this all the time, and I hate him for it. I mean, not really, but I literally would talk about anything, like anything anyone brings up. I am the fucking. Let me tell you right now, I am the anchor man of social media, of going live. I will literally read anything. Matt just said it earlier. Max sent me something in the chat. It could have been anything, and I just read it out loud. Not before in my head. I mean, literally reading out loud and finding out. And so many times that shit's got me in trouble. So you know how it goes. But listen, I don't want to insinuate things, right? Um, but I do think that there is truth to the fact that this email was sent to writers like Lance Pugmire, right? From Eddie, by the way. So obviously it was a burner account somebody created, and the idea that the narrative is being twisted in that sense, it it does feel a little too on the nose, right? But that said, if you're Eddie, and this is to Rick's point, you have a specific amount of leverage. Now, Rick's point that the addendums are more about Eddie and Matchroom and less about AJ and the fight is true. But the thing about it is AJ exists as a commodity, right? That Eddie is partly responsible for, right? Matchroom is responsible for from the boxing standpoint. So the reason why people want to see AJ in that ring is because of the promotional work that Eddie did. Same thing with Fury. Frank and Bob and Kinahan, they are also responsible for ensuring their side of things. The idea that Frank is just kind of like going where the wind blows is based on the fact that Frank's been down bad for a really long time. Now, Queensberry seems like things are looking up, obviously, the last year or so, 2 years. But they spent most of the 2010s, the late 2010s and the early 2020s, kind of just being like an afterthought. They had their couple fighters, and that was about it. But nobody really considered them like a promotion like that of Top Rank, right? So to suggest that Eddie has no right to negotiate for himself or for Matchroom, the the promotional company that helped build up DAZN, the promotional entity that Turkey himself utilized their stable to help continue to build the Ring brand, right? Because the whole rebranding of the Ring was based on Turkey, right? It's based on what he wanted to do and how he wanted the sport to look. And so if he wants to create in his image and give the keys to Dana White, the problem is that you have contracts secured in ways that Dana has no access to, and it's not feasible. This is why Dana doesn't like managers in the negotiation room, right? I don't know if I didn't want to get into this with Rick because I know he's not a UFC guy, right? The idea that Dana White's only lying 90% or only lying 10% of the time, demonstratively false, right? As it relates to his promotional work in the UFC and moving forward, right? So I'm not going to like dismiss him as a liar when it comes to boxing, but I'm certainly not going to just offer up a, a casual okayness of it. Like it's because it's not. The idea that this fight should be where the money is, that's not wrong, right? That's the way business works in every fucking sense of whatever, entertainment, medicine, fucking construction, everything. Where's the money? That's where we go, right? Um, that said, though, the boxing business, the fight business is different than all those other businesses, right? If you're a guy selling heirloom tomatoes on the side of the road, or if you're a person who just built a, fucking phone and a tablet and you're selling them at Best Buy, like all of that is structural, all of that is product, right? But the product in this case are two guys fighting each other, right? So while it is true that Netflix is the money and that you follow the money, it's simultaneously true that boxers should be afforded certain luxuries and certain amenities, right, that make up for and cater for the one-sided workload. It takes a lot to put on a promotion. It takes a lot to put on an event, right? Eddie, Bob, all these people and their staff, they work super hard, all right? I've covered over several dozen fights, and I can tell you that the hardest working people are the people that you never see. The cameramen, the crew, the people that fix the lighting and get the sound ready, and all those people that do the job. It's a tough job. Everybody works into it. But at the end of the day, those tickets are sold for two people and two people only. And those are the people in the main event. And yeah, sometimes the co-main event might draw some. But ultimately, when you have a fight of this magnitude, it's the fighters that brought you to this point, the promoters that promoted you to this point. I would consider, look, I'm not on anybody's side, right? Because I just want the fight. I don't care who gets paid, who gets what. But if I'm looking at this and saying to myself, would I build up a business and then just give it away and just allow people to take it? Like if I'm the king of yogurt, let's say I sell yogurt and I'm the fucking Coca-Cola of yogurt, right? Um, I'm not going to have the yogurt eating contest that's broadcasted on ESPN be taken over by fucking, you know, Yoplait or some shit, right? Like these guys built this. They all built towards this fight. This fight only exists because of the hard work that they've put in. And so to just dismiss it as, oh, wherever the biggest money is, that's where you should go. I get it because everybody wants to get paid. And so the idea that AJ and Joshua are oddly silent on this is, you know, telling. But I think that the bigger issue at play is the Dana White stuff. Uh, Eddie said that none of those things were true. Okay, fine. But it was a rather crafty move, right? To have this email come out and then see the fights that he had planned. Like Zuffa isn't going to put on a card like that, right? They're not going to put on it. There's no way they could. So I don't think that you could have this fight without Frank and Eddie, but you could have this fight without Dana, right? He secured the Netflix deal and he supposedly secured the Madison Square Garden deal. But Eddie's done business with them before. Eddie, there would have been no problem for him. It's like you doing things that nobody asked you for and then like assuming that gives you stake in this is a flawed concept. And you know who else thinks it's a flawed concept? Fury. You know why? Because Fury didn't come on live or he didn't go on social media last week and say, no, we need Dana. If this is going to be a success, Dana's got to be the guy at the front. He didn't say that. He didn't say, hey, guys, listen, we're playing on American soil now. We need an American to facilitate everything because we're just these lowly UK people and we lost control of America 250 years ago. Like, that's it's just stupid. It's just so stupid. I really think it's just so it's just so overthought. Like I can't see how fans would just be like, "Oh yeah, this is all Eddie's fault." Again, I'm not saying not to, you can't put blame on whoever or there's an assortment of responsibility to go around. But this fight's done without Dana, I think, right? This fight's done. They might not make as much, right? Maybe they don't go to Netflix, maybe they don't go to Madison Square Garden, but the fight's done. It's built, it's ready to go. It's out the oven, cooked. So I don't know. A lot of this, back and forth that is being debated and argued, it doesn't feel like anyone's really like bringing up the biggest points. The 2 points that in this whole conversation are, was there a contract signed and did it stipulate the UK? Because if that did happen, if y'all have that, then y'all are paying these dudes either way. You're paying Matchroom and Eddie. I mean, you're paying Eddie and AJ either way. They're going to sue. They're going to say it's a breach of contract. And as I understand contract law, that's how it works, right? To want to change the fact and then say, oh, well, we're all going to benefit because of the money is to also give control, right? And so of all the things that I saw, um, the easiest thing to me from a business standpoint is getting rid of Dana. And I don't mean getting rid of him. Obviously, he could be part of the event or whatever, but the idea that he has to be the lead promoter, that he has to be, all those things, that's all pride. It's all ego, right? So to challenge Eddie's place in this and say, oh, he's doing it only for him and his company, well, Dana's not even doing it for the company, right? Even Rick admits that they don't need these fights. So why? Why work so hard in ways that have nothing to do with furthering your business simply to make believe and cosplay as a big time boxing promoter? Because that's all you're doing. You're cosplaying. You're pretending like you're Oscar De La Hoya or Bob Arum or Eddie or Al or any of the Ludabella, any of the promoters over the last several decades. You're just pretending. You're cosplaying because the work that it would have taken to go into it, would you have accomplished that? Maybe, maybe not, but either way, you didn't do it. Yeah, that's like starting a wrestling company in Jacksonville and always doing your biggest show in the UK, even though your family owns a stadium in Jacksonville. No, it's not. That's dumb. Uh, it's not like that because the UK market obviously is the financial. It's more financially lucrative. So it's like if you're gonna have a WrestleMania, why not have it in New York, right? Because that's WWE's home. I mean, not really anymore, but it used to be, right? And so it's like just have it in New York all the time. But you can maximize profits by traveling. Um, I will say I didn't disagree with your point originally from earlier this week that they have like a big UK show every year, which is, I just don't like it to be all in because it's like if all in's your WrestleMania, then what are we saying that WrestleManias and AEW can only happen in the UK? Like I want to fucking go, even though I could have gone last year or 2 years ago. Um, anyway, all right, so let's get to some of this crapola here. Where were we? Oh, let me show y'all some stuff real quick. Oh, excuse me. Oh man, too bad Alex isn't here. I wanted to ask him about the Jesse Waters and Saeed debate last night. That was rough. Don't you think they'd profit off a stadium they wouldn't have to pay for? That's a fair point. I mean, it just depends, right? Because it's like if you're in Jacksonville and you don't have to. Well, I mean, but it's not really like you don't have to pay. It's more like you're paying yourself, right? So it still adds to the revenue of the show. I don't think it would dramatically increase compared to the amount of tickets you can sell in the UK. Because like you can't fill up a football stadium in Jacksonville with AEW. I don't think there's anywhere, maybe Cali, maybe that you could fill up a stadium with AEW. That said, no, not even Cali. That said, you could do it in the UK because it's about scarcity, right? It's the same thing with Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. Um, why would that fight sell at a time in America where prices are astronomical, um, flights and gas are higher than they've been in really long times, and it's like if you can convince people to go out and buy that ticket, then you're going to make more money. How do you do that? Well, the idea that it is a fight that should be in the UK offers scarcity. So, it's like I always wanted to see Ricky Hatton fight because Ricky Hatton had it seemed like the same energy from his fans as like college football fans do. And so I always wanted to go see that. Like the idea that him coming to like Texas or like New York or something like that is like, oh shit, this is a once in a lifetime type of thing. So I think that's what AJ Fury does in New York. Um, but I do think that's different from wrestling. They did a decent crowd in Texas, are going to do the same fans in Wembley. What was the Texas? I think you're right, but didn't they do like a shit ton more last year though? Because I think the ticket sales are down, aren't they? And that's the other part. It's like everything's down. Like people like, oh look, WWE sucks or AEW sucks. Maybe that's part of it. Although AEW's numbers seem to be trending a little better, but um, the numbers though are the context of it is that everything is up and everything is down. The prices are up on everything and everything is down, right? So like people are going to concerts less, people are going to um, you know, less places. So yeah, I don't know. So you'd make money off the jump then. Yep, that's true. Dang, missed the interview. Was at the gym and morning Dolly. Yeah, shout out RIP Dolly. RIP Dolly. Hell yeah, RIP Dolly. All around. My wife was very very upset. She is like apparently like a really amazing person. I liked her music, I guess. I mean, I'm not like a huge fan of her like in terms of like I know a lot of her songs, but I do have a few of them on my thing. Like I'm from Texas, like, country is something that I grew up on, and King George, Garth Brooks, old family traditions. They want to say, why do you to get drunk, you fucking bitch? You too, Joseph. She was more popular than I thought. The numbers are down for all in because you can't run the same stadium every year. No, well, okay, yes, that's a true point. Yes, you're saying something very true, and we saw that with Vegas, with WrestleMania. I mean, you're right. You don't want to run two shows like that, but everything's down, and that cannot be unaccounted for. The idea that WWE is losing all their fans or in house shows and live attendance is down is fully equated to their terrible bookings. That's just not the case. I mean, yes, of course, some of it is that, right? There are fans that are just like not into the product as they were last year or 2 years ago, whatever. But everything is down. So you're not getting the same sort of data here. Maybe there are people that would have gone and bought the tickets to All In or even Vegas, right? But the idea of what they're worth now is different, right? So like let's say this, like the SmackDown tickets, right? For Corpus. Um let's say they're like regular like $200 for decent seats, right? And so I say to myself, okay, I'm going to go and then I'm going to buy a ticket for my wife, I'm going to buy a ticket for my niece. So that's like 600, probably like 800 in fees. Okay, so I spent $800, right? And I know what that means, right? Personally, I've adjusted in my head. So are we going to be able to go to Fiesta, Texas in October? Maybe not. Are we going to be able to take in, more than a couple Astros games? Cowboy games? Probably not. Are like, what am I going to have to sacrifice to do this thing? But today, what's happening is you're having to consider more sacrifices. So I don't think that it's WWE sucks, or I don't think it's all that WWE sucks, or AEW sucks, or boxing's bad, or MMA doesn't have any stars. All these things that people keep saying, it was the same thing as the comic book fatigue. Look at that. Everybody 2 years ago was like, oh my God, She Hulk is fucking awful. That's ruining the MCU. This place sucks. Oh, we hate MCU. Now Spider Man comes out and does like the biggest numbers ever. And now everybody's all horny for Doom. And I just fucking ordered my tickets for a movie that's coming out in theaters that's already on Disney Plus. That's how much of a fucking psycho I am. That's how much of a sicko I am. Is that I just bought tickets to a movie I've seen probably a dozen times from beginning to end, maybe more. And it's on Disney Plus for free. But because they've said that they're going to add 7 more minutes, guess what? Your boy's like, I'm fucking hooked, bro. Let's do it. It's bullshit. By the way, those fucking leaks are really pissing me off because now I think they're all true. So that means that Wolverine dies. That means that Spider-Man Tobey Maguire dies. That means that Loki dies. That means that Xavier and Magneto die. And then like we haven't even gotten to Secret Wars. And now the rumor is that RDJ is going to also play Iron Man in Secret Wars. If you haven't heard this, this is crazy, okay? And I'm going to get to the chat right after this. So, Disney has a new attraction coming to, I think it's called Avengers Boot Camp. No, it's called Avengers Campus. I think it's what it's called. You know how like Disneyland has like their Star Wars part, and then they're like fucking, I don't know, whatever. And so they have like all these different parts. So the Avengers have their own part. So there is a roller coaster ride. It's not a roller coaster. It's like one of those like movie rides. If you've ever been to Disneyland, like it's like the Harry Potter one. Um, and it was just released. RDJ did footage for this upcoming ride. So if you've ever been to these things, right? Usually they'll have an actor. Like I went on the Spider-Man ride in Disney, and like Spider-Man, he's with you the whole time. I mean, obviously in like a fucking, in like a 3D thing, but but he's like follows you with it. So RDJ shot scenes that will be shown for this ride. Okay, that ride doesn't open until after 2028. So it's going to be like the summer of 2028, something like that. Uh, so he's Iron Man in this ride. He's playing Iron Man. And not only is he playing Iron Man, he's playing Iron Man side by side with Falcon's Captain America. The Captain America. What was his name? What's his name? Sam Wilson. Sam Wilson's Captain America. So Tony Stark and Captain America are shooting this thing, and it's basically him like trying to teach you to be Iron Man. So the rumor is that in Secret Wars there will be a drunk version of Iron Man who lost the final battle against Thanos. Now, if you remember in that movie in Endgame at the end, Thanos says, last time I fucked up because I only killed half of the, universe. This time I'm going to wipe Earth out and reduce it to atoms. So the idea is that Thanos won, and Tony's like literally the only one left from that universe. Um, and then it's like, because if you're gonna say that RDJ's Tony Stark becomes Doom in all scenarios in which he's not adopted, then there is no planet that has both a Doom and an Iron Man. It's like one or the other. So then you get to Secret Wars and you can do it. But they're saying, because the big rumor was always that RDJ wasn't coming back for 2 movies. He's coming back for like 6 movies. And there's another rumor that Iron Man 4 is coming out. So Fury AJ can be anywhere in the globe. It certainly can, but I do believe it maximizes its profits in certain places. New York is probably one of them. Tell J. Cole and Chris Brown people are going to concerts less. Well, I mean, but you're talking about J. Cole and Chris Brown, champ. Like, I don't think like the hottest stars like Ella Langley are fucking, having problems moving tickets. I do think that Live Nation's report that came out last year that suggested everything was down by like 4% to 7% says that people are going to concerts less, right? So, it's different between like, cause like it's like, because like I played baseball and I had friends that went on and played in the pros and stuff, and it's like when attendance is down, it was like it's not like necessarily a reflection of baseball, it's more a reflection of uh like what else is going on in that town, from what I understand, right? Like the Hooks will have like a big game but nobody will go because the circus is in town or whatever. And so um it's like, what's the act? And so it's like you can't measure it at just the top, right? Because that doesn't work. You have to measure like everything, right? All sorts of venues, like and stuff like that. And so from that perspective, yes, concerts are very down. Why not, Alex? Please tell me. TBR just thought she was before y'all time. That's all. That's not the same thing, Mario. Oh, no, that's not the same thing, Mario. No one wanted a woke She-Hulk song. I'm not sure what that's in response to. I don't even know what that meant. Oh, show. That's not the same thing, Mario. No one. I don't even know what's not the same. The the superhero fatigue argument was very, very real, and She-Hulk was part of that. All the people who were gonna end up dying die. Bullshit. Why the fuck does Loki have to die? Here's the thing. I don't have a problem with people dying. I have a problem with people dying in the first fucking few minutes of the film. Like, the idea that we're not gonna pay off Loki Thor? Come on, that's fucked up, right? Nobody wants to watch either of these movies without Loki and Thor reuniting, right? And then on top of that, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, fine, you can just kill him off, but I don't know, dude. The stakes should be higher. Like, shouldn't it be Doom that's killing these people? Like, if like there's we don't know anything about Doom, right? If you have to have read the comics to understand what's going on, right? So like you watch the trailer and you see that part between Doom and Mr. Fantastic, and he's like, "Did you do this, Victor?" And I'm like, oh my god, they're gonna fucking fight these two friends. And I'm like, wait, they're not friends. They didn't even mention them in the fucking Fantastic Four movie. Like, what are we talking about here? And so this idea that my comic book brain is filling in the things that Doomsday or the things that Marvel's failed to present us with. That's really what's happening, which I'm okay with because, I already know. I'm seeing in-game encore too, better than spending $100 on a code in a box, Mario. What is that? What does that mean? Better than spending $100 on a code in a box. What's that referencing, Alex? I'm not sure. Uh, yeah, no. We're going to see on in-game encore. I was always going to do it. I told my wife, I told everyone, if y'all don't want to go, that's fine. I'm going to go. So, of the like dozen people that I usually watch these movies with, only 3 of us are going. So, I told you that Tony Stark was an anchor bean. He wasn't meant to die. Oh, good one. Oh, that is a good one. You did say that. Very good. I like that. Maybe you're right about it. Tony Stark was the life that was stolen. And when Doom talks about living stolen, Tony Stark was the life that was stolen. Stolen from Doom? I like that. How would you write off some of the old Fox era Marvel characters? Good question. I would do it in the same way that I would write off the Eternals. You got to have Doom kill them all. I know that it seems redundant, right? But if you look at what happened with the Scarlet Witch movie and when she killed all those people, like she made them seem so like nothing, right? It made her seem like a bigger badass. And it started the conversation whether she was the most powerful being in the Marvel universe, or at least on Earth. Um, and so I think that's how you do it, right? You you set it up for all of us to believe that they're going to make it, and then it's Doom that basically squashes them one by one. It would be like if Obafemi just like killed the bloodline and came out and just fucking annihilated them all. That would be it. Oba would be the top of the universe. You leave them on the first universe that dies, Alex. If that's like the end of the movie, great. But if that's gonna be the first 15 minutes of them just basically killing like the 4 most popular fucking superheroes, that I don't know. I'm gonna be so upset. Sounds like he refuses to accept my Marvel knowledge. The Fox universe will be saved, but all their heroes will die on another world. All of them? Because I don't know if it's going to be all of them. I wonder if they're going to try to use some of the Fox era people to transition some of the other recasted X-Men. I know that seems convoluted, but so does the whole Doomsday premise, so that's not the point of the story. Doom is proving a point by having heroes kill each other and innocent others. That's that's fair. That's a fair point. But I don't know if that builds Doom up enough. Here's what I'll say. Doom shouldn't even be just the character for these 2 movies. If when they beat Doom at the end, because obviously they're going to beat Doom, it should be a situation where like he like just goes off and licks his wounds, right? And then comes back even bigger. Maybe with what's his name? From the Fantastic Four, not Apocalypse. Galactus. Maybe with Galactus. Oh, GTA. That's what you meant. Yes, very very good point. By the way, did you see the leak, Alex? For the GTA plot. Um, I guess the girl comes out of prison or something like that. I just read a little bit. I hadn't really checked it out. I will be honest with y'all. I am so fucking excited for that Netflix GTA doc or whatever it's gonna be. Um, Doom is the justified villain. I love it. I love that narrative, and Doom's one of my favorite characters of all time. I don't even know why I have a problem with this. I really don't. Because like I understand the narrative. I've actually read Secret Wars and Time Runs Out. Um, I don't know why I care that other people don't understand it, but I do. Because I feel like people are gonna hate on the movie if things aren't clear. Like Matt understands this universe very well. I think maybe even too well, to the fact that he has maybe a hard time thinking in the way that a casual fan thinks of this stuff. Because if you're a casual fan, dude, all I know is you're about to watch a movie with 4 Captain Americas, like, or 3 Captain Americas. Like, It's complicated. It's complicated. If you are a Marvel fan, a casual Marvel fan that has seen most of, if not all, the big movies, you're going to be confused about a Loki that isn't dead but will die, but also got pruned, but also is not in the real world anymore and he lives in the TVA land at the end of time. It's all convoluted. It really is. Will the almighty Eternals ignore this too? I actually think the Eternals are going to come back. I think at least a few of them come back for Secret Wars. But man, I'd love to see the Eternals just die. And I don't mean it that way. Like the movie wasn't as bad as people say. I mean, it wasn't good, but it wasn't as bad as people say. But just the characters got nothing going for them, and the fact that they represent such a historic power in the universe makes it so that you can utilize that as something that is stolen, right? Because like let's like even break this down, right? And I don't want to talk about the spoilers because there's a lot of people who said the other day that they were pissed off that I said anything about it. So I'm not going to talk about the plot line, but just some of the things that they're saying, right? So the idea is that Doom is doing a two-pronged move. And this part connects to Time Runs Out in Secret Wars, where Doom is basically allowing everyone else in the Marvel universe, superheroes and villains, to fight what they don't know, but he knows is an unwinnable battle. They all believe that if they can destroy the other Earth and their superheroes, they can save theirs, as opposed to letting them both get destroyed. So Doom is trying to accomplish something, probably with the TVA, while these other guys fight each other to the point that they realize they're on the same side and link up. So that's prong one. The other prong is that he is, uh, aside from killing Loki, probably, and taking his God of Story powers, he will kidnap every one of the, what I think Matt thinks as well, are the Nexus beings, uh, children. All right. So, like, Sue Storm's kid is a Nexus being, right? And then Love, Thor's little girl, she's a Nexus being, right? And she has a power of a god because what's his name? Christian Bale's character asked for that fate, for that wish. So I was like, I don't know. I think that there's a lot you can do there, right? Especially stealing the kids. But it all seems to come down to being able to utilize every single power in the MCU. So if Thanos' quest was for five stones that represent a different sense or element of power in the universe, then Doom is taking it one step further. He's not going after a stone that represents a certain power. He's going after the entire eclipse of power from these different models that we've seen throughout the universe. So he's going to be the most techie science guy, like Tony Stark or Mr. Fantastic, but he's also going to be well versed in the witch warlock um, dynamics. So it'll be a situation where we're not seeing this, purple god steal a bunch of stones to make himself even more powerful. We're seeing a person turn himself into a god by assuming all the powers that were in the universe, from magic and sorcery to tech to probably even gamma radiation at some point. If you pay attention, Doom isn't doing but speeding up the process the heroes started. How does he do that though, Matt? Because in the comics, right, which we're very far from the comics, but I mean we are and we aren't. Really, the only big thing is the Beyonders. In the comics, he steals the Beyonders' powers, right? So Doom's initial thought process is on the side of the heroes, trying to prevent these collisions. But in the comics, he realizes before everyone else that this is not like a natural phenomenon or anything like that. It is something that's being done to them by the Beyonders. So without their knowledge, the rest of the MCU, he steals their powers and he's able to build Battle World. And the only reason why there are anyone to, you know, challenge him is because two ships containing different superheroes from different Earths show up on Secret Wars, and they weren't part of it. So Doom is going to do what Wanda did in the show and cast like a big old like bubble of illusion. So everybody's gonna nobody's gonna remember anything in Secret Wars. Everybody's gonna assume that God Emperor Doom has always been there, and Secret War and Battle World is the only place that's ever been. So I think that's what they're gonna do. Doom is trying to merge all the multiverses into one. Hell yeah, champ! And he's gonna use the Void to do it. See, and that's like something that's going to be so awesome because they've already set it. They've already set the tone for Battle World. Secret Wars is if it's going to take place in the Void, and the Void is going to be a conglomeration of every single facet of the MCU. Because like in the stories in the comics, they did like solo stories that weren't connected to the Secret Wars plot line. So like they had like a Hulk village, right? They had like a Spider-Man New York where all the Spider-Mans are, and so they have like all these different things. So it's definitely gonna go down. Doom wasn't the one messing with time. He is reacting to the consequences of the multiverse. Uh-oh, it sounds like Matt's on the side of the heel. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, no. This is what I love about this whole thing, right? Is that there is a part in this movie that I feel will have fans empathize with Doom. And that's something that they never really did with Thanos. In fact, with Thanos, they kind of left like a gaping hole. It's like, oh, well, why didn't he just make a bunch of food instead of killing half of everybody? Whatever. Anyway, that's enough of that. Let's see. Wait. All right, let me see. Where is this? Oh, I gotta show y'all this, dude. Matt, I gotta show you this. Oh, first, let me show y'all this real quick. This has been going up. Now, I don't know if y'all seen this or not. Like I know you are gonna talk shit, like, oh, I'm fucking talking shit about Trump again. But that's not what this is. There's been a rumor for a really long time that Trump cheats like golf, like really bad. Some guy wrote a book, some old caddy from the PGA Tour wrote a book about it. And so they had this clip coming on. It's been doing the rounds. Y'all probably seen it. Where Oscar De La Hoya tells the story of Trump. Bro, I swear to God, this story, take out Trump's name and put Adam. This is exactly what Adam does when we play golf.
First ball he hits to the water, gets another ball from his pocket, hits it off to the left, it's out of bounds. Oh, I got another one. Hold on, I'm just warming up. Another one to the water, and then he hits the fourth ball. I know it went into the bushes. We couldn't find it, but Donald, what he does, he tees off first so he can take off right away. So we tee off, and I pipe mine down the middle, and so we go off to our ball, and who do we see? Donald Trump right in the middle of the fairway. Oh, by the way, I found my first ball. It's right here. Now we're cracking up. I mean, we're just laughing. We're just, I mean, obviously not in front of his face. And so we move on to the second hole. It's a par three. So he hits his ball, and we know it went out of bounds. We just know it. And so he takes off. And so we finally get to the green, and he's like, "Oh, my ball's right here, 3 feet away." Oh, by the way, I'm gonna pick it up. It's a gimme for a birdie. And we're just laughing. You don't do that.
Yo, I definitely 100% have done that. Not the birdie thing, but yeah, I've definitely hit a ball into the woods and then been like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna throw this one." No, I don't do that anymore. It's like if you cheat in golf, you're just cheating yourself. I know that's like people think, oh, that's so dumb, but no, it is true because like you go out there, you can match your score against other people. That's fine, but you don't know if they're cheating. You don't know how well they're playing. Ultimately, trying to beat your last score is the best way to play golf. Just
That in golf, I think, right?
So I take it you're not going to vote for him.
Well, not for somebody who.
That was funny. Okay, wait. What was I gonna show y'all again? I forgot. Hell yeah, champ. Me too. On tonight, I'm starting to think Bellamir will be UFC bantamweight champion by 29-20-30. Yeah. Oh, I can't. Oh, that's tonight, right? Fuck yeah, dude. I forgot. Good call, dude. Good fucking call. Thank you so much for reminding me. Oh, maybe we'll come back for that tonight. What time does it start? I think it's at 8, right? Let me look that up. I was gonna show y'all something else. Fuck. What was it? Oh my god, dude! Y'all want to see something? Y'all want to see something hilarious? Y'all want to see something hilarious, dude? Adam sent this to me just a little bit ago. He put it says Browns fans when Deshaun Watson runs out the tunnel.
Come on out, you rapist!
Wow.
The energy he put into the word rapist. Oh my god, dude. That is like powerful. Powerful. Oh man. See, that's the problem is y'all want to or not y'all, but TikTok and everybody wants to be talking about grape and shit. And it's like you like that's a detriment you do to the word, right? Like if someone's called a racist today, they get super offended. I, I, and so it's like a thing, right? As like his thing, where it's like you take away the word and then it has less meaning. There's been a lot that made me feel different ways on this show, but truly I feel like this was the gay experience the last 12 minutes. Jesus. You know, Mex, it's funny because you're going to be the loser in 2 months, 3 months, when we're all talking about the most epic movie of all time. See, because Doomsday, really Secret Wars, but Doomsday leading into Secret Wars is going to be a cultural phenomenon. Okay. This is like trying to ignore the Super Bowl and then calling everyone gay for watching the Super Bowl. Right. It's like, okay, but you're the small you represent a minority of very small percentage of people. So y'all are gay. No, I'm just kidding. Shout out to Kai Trump, the future biggest star in the LPGA. She came in last in her debut, but she's improving in Miami University. I don't know, champ. I don't know. I'm telling you that there are a lot of Asians in women's golf that are fucking badass. I'll gladly take that L. Yeah, because the L stands for loser. Keep your F party. That's that's not. So the rest of the world is gay except for you. Cool. Got it. Yeah. You know who else had that kind of mindset? Epstein. Wow. Mex just said he's Epstein. That's crazy work. Okay, so I remember what I was gonna show y'all. Do do do. Damn, people got caught on that ESPN deal shit. Oh fuck, bro. I can't make fun because I got caught on the Eddie Hearn shit, so I ain't gonna make fun. Where is it? God damn it, dude. Uh, okay. Yo, I still have an hour and a half before the show with Matt, but I got to get off a little earlier so I can set up my side. All right. Uh, okay. So, for those of you, okay. So we're not gonna watch a lot of this. Okay. I know that the vast majority of my community doesn't like Aiden Ross, or not Aiden Ross, but his brand risk promotion. They don't like the fighting that comes out of it. They think that it is bullshit. Uh, fair enough. But here was an interesting thing that happened. Did y'all ever see when like the Mountain? No, it wasn't the Mountain. It was Eddie Hall fought like two dudes on the same card. It was like a guy versus two chicks. So those are like 100 men versus a gorilla type of question, right? Uh, and I'm assuming that if you grew up around my generation in Texas specifically, then you definitely had this question in elementary, uh, you know, thrown at you at the lunchroom table. Could a tall pussy get beaten by a badass dwarf in boxing? That's the question we're about to answer, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to have some fun while we do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, this bout is scheduled for
The Eagles are
three-minute rounds in the featherweight division.
this is why this is what this is why people don't respect brand risk right there. By the way, that is the girl that made Drake bark. Do y'all know what I'm talking about? Drake, who has been just having a downward spiral in terms of cringe. He was on a show, a kick streaming show, because y'all know that he's okay. So this is it right here. If you haven't seen it, it is very cringe. So I'm going to tell y'all to, you know, this is the cringe warning.
Me down in my eyes. If you say you can look me down in my eyes. If you say do it, I would.
Would you bark for me?
You can look me down in my eyes.
That's Drake who just did that. I don't know if any of you are aware of that. Mexitine Yabish. Context, Vince was calling out Triple H. Yeah, I remember. That was hilarious. Thoughts on Avery Styles and TNA? We'll get to that in just a second, Alex. Very good question. Thank you for reminding me. Unless you want to save that for your show, then we can do that. But if not, I'll just give my takes on it. But yeah, this was the Drake that the girl that made Drake bark. And of course they had her as a ring girl.
Jeremy Smith.
So this is Jeremy Smith. He is a dwarf boxer who blew up about a year and a half ago, maybe. And he has been one of the most popular combat sports channels in terms of growth. And he's been featured, I think, in 3 different brand risks, including this one. But he's been doing really, really well. And it got to the point where people were like, oh, he could fucking seriously beat up an Island Boy. And now if you haven't seen any of the Island Boys fight, good on you. Congrats that you haven't wasted your fucking brain power on this. But that said, they are terrible fighters, terrible boxers. All emotion, 0 skill, you know. And so the question was, could a good dwarf beat a bad bitch? Nope, that didn't sound right. Could a good dwarf beat a island pussy? Yo, and just the idea of you mean mugging and having to look so far down, like, oh, you look like a fucking loser already. Like, already this looks bad on you. And look, he's just ready for fucking, look at this. Look at his Manny Pacquiao calves, bro. That's crazy work. I would honestly, I wouldn't have signed this contract unless they said that I could low blow him. Cause like, bro, I'm just throwing right here, champ. Like, what you want me to do? These are straight punches.
He's gonna jump. No way. He's gonna Superman punch. Chat, who you got? Let's go. Come on, Jeremy.
All right, so you know what? I'm gonna turn this bullshit off because they are lame. All right, so that is Jeremy Smith, and you know, he's got good form, by the way. See, and this is the problem. It's like, this is why I wanted to show you all this fight. First of all, right? The idea of weight classes and matching, like, fairness, right? Like, that's all contextualized, right? Like, we got to this point, and we got to this point because we knew that there were things that weren't fair about someone fighting a guy 100 pounds bigger, right? Or like 5 inches tall or whatever. So that's the idea right now, right? It's like what's going on with the WNBA, right? There are a lot of people who are criticizing their the bar for which you can play in the WNBA. And right now, apparently, I've never read it, but apparently it says if you identify as a woman, then you are eligible for the WNBA. So last night, that guy who sucks at basketball, but has been saying that he wants to join the WNBA. He went and he trolled. He got kicked out. Um, but this started up an actually good conversation on a podcast I was watching where they're talking about like the way that sports, develop over time. So like 100 years ago, like people would have been like, well, what do we do with weight? Like, we have no idea how to fix, these guys that are smaller fighting from these guys that are bigger. And somebody said, hey, weight classes. And then it was like all these different things. So like to program and structure sports has to work around the physiology of how it works, right? That said, boxing is a sweet science. It is something that is craftful and based on knowledge. So if you are a good enough boxer, a good enough fighter with good enough skills, and you're fighting somebody who's trash, the height and weight difference will not matter because, and not that they won't matter as much as they should. And so now you see the overhands being given, but like the Island Boy is like, I think weaker than this guy. Like, I actually think that Jeremy is stronger than the Island Boy, but he's got that overhand and it's set up right to knock out Island Boy. I don't know if he gets knocked out. I heard he did. But, oh my God, and that hurt. Listen to me. That hurt. That hurt him. Holy shit, he hurt him, dude. Look right here. Not right here. He's going to go back this way. Look, right here. That was on the chin, and that was on the back of the head. He's hurt, bro. Oh, shit. Bro, stop it. Are they laughing?
Oh, he's stumbling. Stop. Oh my God. Say again, Jeremy.
Wait, what? He stumbled? Bro. And this is how you fight a bigger guy. You know what I mean? You got to stay low, and you got to... That overhand is your friend. Damn, Island Boy hitting behind with the bell. Bro, I cannot believe they made him go 3 minutes, dog. That's crazy work. Yo, that was a cheap-ass punch. Little bitch. Bro, I cannot think of any better example of what'll happen to your brain if you're perpetually online. This is what happens to you. You become this. Island Boy already looks gas, bro. Yo, what? Okay, he had to be taking the dive, right? Right, guys? Y'all, listen, most of y'all in this community, especially the people on right now, have watched boxing as long as I have, if not longer than I have. Tell me right now how this makes sense. How this punch that doesn't land, but on the shoulder, knocks him off balance. How did that happen? You have to be incredibly weaker than your opponent to have this happen. Stumbled him, bro, with a shoulder shot. My bad, I didn't see it. I'm calling out Alex for game of 21 in hoops. Damn, champ. I'm not gonna lie, Mex is good at basketball, but I fucking hate him because he's too he plays too much like I do. Because I grew up playing basketball in the hood, and in it's like street ball. And so because I was so much shorter, I had to always like try to assert my power over people. Yeah, I got into a lot of fights on the court. I'll await your response, Alex. Okay, so again, we're not watching this because it's a thing to watch. It is specifically so you could see what a talented fighter, despite the weight and size advantage being given up, can do against a drug addict that kisses his brother. So there's the feint. He throws. Yo, and Jeremy's just got this look on him, bro. Like, he knows, dog. This isn't, dog. This is embarrassing. Yo, what? Bro, this is crazy. This is wild. Oh, man. Talk about risking your entire brand. If they bring this kid back to fight ever again, that's bullshit. Oh, my God. Oh, he's wobbled. Oh, my God. Ah. Oh, this is demoralizing. This is humiliating. Oh, my God. He quit. This is even worse. That's hilarious. Oh, he couldn't get off the bottom rope. All right. Dude, Hornswoggle in his prime. I would love to see that, bro. Yo, that was crazy. He just fucking quit. That's what he did. He just fucking quit, bro. He just quit. This is what happens, bro. This is what happens. Talent will always beat bullshit. Damn, that was a big right hand, though. And look, you saw his head fucked up. He caught him with that left afterwards. I think it was the right that hurt him, but it's the left that. See, because this is what people have to understand about those kinds of shots, right? It would be the right hand that did the damage, and that's like the harder punch you see, right? Come across, boom, it lands. The fuck was that? But then it's that next punch that usually isn't as optically devastating that hurts your opponent more because you're you're out of it. Your guard's down, all of that. So hold on. Where
criticize a fighter if I think he doesn't have the discipline to stay. Benavidez's body he wants to be bigger.
And he looked great.
That's the point. At cruiserweight, you could see.
Okay.
What do you have on Conor Ben?
All right, so
Conor-
this is from this past week. It was the Inside the Ring podcast with Max Kellerman, Mike Coppinger, and LaShawn McCoy. Gabe Rosado was sitting in today as well, or for that show too. And they brought an interesting topic that I wanted to bring to you all, and that was, can Conor Ben KO Ryan Garcia?
Conor Ben, he's training here in Santa Monica, Max, getting ready for the big fight against Ryan Garcia. It's going to be September 12th. And I am told, and you don't hear this a lot really, I'm told that he is training for the knockout. He knows that Ryan Garcia has been stopped before, happened against Gervonta Davis. He got dropped against Rolly Romero. Conor Ben wants the knockout. He's shown that he has big power at 47. This is going to be his first fight at the weight in, I believe, 4.5 years or so.
Okay, so first of all, right there, I wanna talk to y'all. Shout out Matt. See you in an hour, champ. Make sure you go to Talking About Radio with Matt Garces on YouTube so you could check out our show later today where we will be discussing wrestling, the recap of Raw, and a preview for AEW All In, as well as some NFL stuff. So, Conor Ben should do this whole fight week in Spanish. Dude, that would be sick. Oh, that would be so. Oh, you're so good at that, Matt. You're so good. You know what? This is where Mex got it. Mex is not a good troll. Mex is not good at any of this. Matt taught him how to do this because that's fucking good, bro. That is, oh man, that's that's the type of vibes that when Adrian called Paulie's ex chick. Oh fuck, almost doubled it, bro. Ooh, I would have been flying, y'all. I would have been flying. People already say I talk too fast. Y'all, I would have been on ×3 speed. That motherfucker ain't teach shit over here. All right, champ. That sounds like something somebody would say if they were taught something. So, no, I'm just kidding. But let's get into this. Okay, so real quick, I wanted to talk about this part. He said Conor Ben is training for the knockout. What does that mean, right? When we say training for the knockout. So, in boxing, that is a term that is no longer really used. But about maybe 20, 30 years ago, it was a more common term that people would say than say, I'm training for the knockout, or, I'm training to go 3, or I'm training to go 7, whatever. It was like colloquial, I guess. But I think it's telling here. I do. The idea that Conor Ben would flat out come out and say, I'm training for the knockout. I would normally not believe that from a fighter, right? I wouldn't normally believe that from a fighter in the same way that I wouldn't believe Otani if he came out and said, before Game 7 of the World Series, well, I think I'm going to start the first 3 batters with first pitch fastballs. Like, that's not going to happen, right? You're not going to have Patrick Mahomes tell everybody what the first play they're going to run of the game is, right? You're not going to tell them if there is going to be a more run or pass heavy offense in the first half, right? You're not going to do that. And simply, you're not going to do this if you're a fighter. You're not going to tell the other guy, I'm going to be more aggressive than normal, or I'm going to push you to the limit in the first half, or whatever, right? So when we say training for the knockout, it's really like an ambiguous term. But really, what he's saying is that he sees, or his team sees, a hole or a flaw that can be exploited in real time. That usually comes with a setup. Now, we know that Ryan Garcia has been set up before, specifically for the body shot. This is a kid who will bite at the feint. That said, I think it's more telling that Connor Ben is coming with this type of news, or coming with this type of talking point, because the idea that you would tell your opponent this is silly. But in a way, this is almost Connor Ben admitting that the most likely route to him winning is through the knockout. Now, I'm not saying that a fight script doesn't exist that sees Connor Ben winning a decision. However, I cannot see Connor Ben going into that fight with the fight script of going 12. I don't think that's not a fight where he's maximizing his best abilities and minimizing Ryan Garcia's. Uh, Obviously, like, you could do this a couple ways, right? You could try to put pressure on Ryan, see what looks he gives you, and then set up a counter. Or you could just try to be aggressive, catch him off guard, catch him early, before he's gotten loose, before he's gotten really warmed. You can do all of that. But the idea that that's what he's going to do, again, I think that suggests that he's locked in to the degree that he's being honest with himself. The worst thing a fighter can do is convince themselves of something that isn't true, right? How many times have we seen guys, they come out, oh, I'm going to knock him out in the 4th, or yeah, you're going to see on Friday when you're staring up at the lights, and then it's a fucking 12-round hold fest, right? I think Conor Benn wants to win. And I think Conor Benn knows that winning will be more likely if he is the aggressor who's pushing the pace, and Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia is a good fighter. I'm not going to pretend he's not. What he isn't, though, is the most headstrong athlete. And by that, I mean, like, bases loaded, your team's down by 1, and you're 0-2. Are you the kind of hitter that could say, fuck that? I don't give a fuck that I got 2 strikes. This shit's going over. This shit's good. I'm handling this ball, right? If you're a quarterback and you have, 45 seconds left, 1 timeout, and you're at your own fucking 20, right? Are you the kind of quarterback that can get up and say, we're marching down this fucking field, and not just do that for you, but for the other guys, right? Ryan Garcia is not someone, okay, let me put it this way. Ryan Garcia is someone that can be exploited in the ring if you wait for him to make a mistake. I think it's going to come down to Conor Benn being aggressive, but not so aggressive that he allows Ryan an opportunity to counter. So it's going to be a very, very interesting matchup, specifically in the first 3 rounds, I think. The first half, I think, will be a telling part of the fight. That said, it could also be a fight of 2 rounds. I mean, it could be a fight of 2 halves. You don't talk about my side. Just tells me Ben is gonna walk into something nasty. Exactly, and that's what I appreciate. If that's what's going on here with Ben, that's what I appreciate, is him knowing that the likelihood of him going for a knockout increases the chances of Ryan Garcia scoring his own knockdowns and or knockout. That said, it's a better percentage than it would be for him to try to outmaneuver, outwork, outpace, and keep momentum for large parts of the fight. I don't see Conor Benn doing that. Certainly not at a level where he's able to diminish Ryan's speed and ability to close the distance, right? If you're if you're Connor Ben and your game plan is to rack up points, I think you're setting yourself up to be behind the 8 ball on fight night. And you're going to have to eventually come out and do something special. But I digress.
To me, that's actually news, Gabe, because not everyone trains for the knockout, right?
Yeah.
You hear a lot of fighters say, hey, I'm going to train to beat him. If the knockout comes, it comes. What does this mean to you?
I think this is the way he can win the fight, is by knockout. I don't think he can win the fight on points with Ryan. So it's smart if
Exactly.
that's what he's aiming for, but it's going to be really tough. Him coming down from 60 to 147.
That's scary.
I mean, you might lose that power. You know, that's what happens most of the time when Roy Jones, perfect example. Heavyweight champion of the world, went back down to 75 and he lost that pop. So, you know, it's going to be
even
Eubank
too. Even
Yeah,
when
he lost that speed.
when Conor fought Eubank, losing all that weight, it showed in the second fight. So I didn't think that till you mentioned it, because I thought that Conor's gonna win this fight. I think you talk about you put him in.
And I think Roy's one of the greatest of all time.
Roy's
by the way.
But I'm saying you put him in.
Roy was 1 or 2 fights away from replacing Sugar Ray Robinson as #1 pound for pound. He never should have gone back down to light heavyweight. It's
right
a good point.
He beats Ruiz and goes right down to 175, and he
was never the same.
You can
But
see
that's, by the way, it wasn't even just a power knockout. Roy, when he went down to 75, it's not that he just got stopped by Glenn Koff Johnson. He lost every round. A guy who...
Yeah, that was the big part. I remember when that fight happened, I was convinced Roy was done. Convinced. But he obviously showed us he was.
Never lost a round, no matter who he fought, basically. Beating guys one-handed, doing whatever he wanted through 3 divisions. Suddenly, he can't win a round from Glenn Koff Johnson, who's a very good fighter, but he clearly, Roy was not the same guy anymore once he lost the 25 pounds.
So it's actually interesting to me that Conor Ben is coming down to
Why
47.
why is he doing that, you think, Mike?
I mean, obviously, it's a big, lucrative fight.
Why is he doing that, Mike, while Rosado's talking? That's so fucked up.
But
he gonna make money anyway.
Well,
Certain guys gonna make money anyway. But why is he going down?
The reason is, look, Conor Ben has a lot more power at 47. We saw him score some big knockouts. Chris Algieri,
Yeah, it's partly that, but it's also partly the fact that 154 doesn't have the amount of it doesn't have the lucrative fights that 147 has. Also, you know, moving up to 154, you give up certain natural size and power advantages, not necessarily power in terms of punching, although that is a thing, but just the strength ability to maneuver your opponent, to not be maneuvered by your opponent, right? The infighting of it all. That takes a lot of endurance. It takes a lot of skill to manage. And so, you know, I think at the end of the day, they're right. Conor Ben's best shot is a stoppage victory or a knockout win.
And here it is.
But the idea that him coming back down to 147 and the power just stays. See, yes, a lot of fighters, in fact, most, I think, athletes are built in a way, especially at Conor Ben's age, to be able to fluctuate up and down and have their skill sets transfer, or not their skill sets, their aptitudes, right? Their abilities. But it's an interesting thing when you look at some fighters. I think Kellbrook might be a stretch here, but it's the only example I can really think of, where you don't have the same ability to put your punches together to exploit your speed and your pop. It's all about timing. And when you have extra poundage, it messes with your timing, to the point that you have to adjust. And then, you know, and you can do that stuff in sparring. It's not like, oh, you have to fight at the weight class to get acclimated like you would for weight, right? But the idea that you can just move up and down and your power, you know, will transfer back. No, that's not the case. In some cases, guys never really rebound. And it's not that their power's lacking. It's that they're no longer comfortable in the body they once occupied as an athlete. To go out there and feel heavy, to go out there and feel I guess heavy. To go out there and feel heavy is not the feeling you want, right? You want to be light. You want to be, you know, you want to feel like an athlete. You want to be able to move. And Conor Ben already offers a certain amount of strength at the smaller weight class, or at the
Came up as a puncher.
And he came up as a puncher, and
Yeah.
then he goes and has two big money fights with Chris Eubank, sells out Tottenham Stadium twice last year, and then he fights at Tottenham again in April at 150, but he only had 6 weeks to make the 150. Did not look good against Regis Prograis. I think he's going to look better this time.
I like Conor Benn at 60.
Is it safe to say that
like
like
him at
his
60.
so his real weight is probably 147, but he went up there to get that money?
I don't think it's his real weight anymore. I think he's probably a 54-pounder, if I had to guess.
Because you broken up the fight.
Yeah, it would be tough for me to say he's a 47-pounder only because he carries so much muscle mass. He's got like a wide frame. And, you know, you have to understand the idea that muscle weighs more than fat is a true concept. And so it's harder for someone like Ben to lose natural weight without having to, maybe not dramatically, but noticeably decrease his overall like size structure. You know what I mean? His frame is what I mean.
Eubank, you're bulking up. You're
Muscle
lifting weights.
workouts,
You
lifting
getting. I mean, you getting husky, and now you got to take away all that muscle. That's why I feel like I don't know if that power is going to be there.
Right, he was a
Bruh, what did I just say?
I
big,
could be
strong,
wrong, but I don't know.
Conor Benn, if you go back, was a big, strong, power-punching welterweight who, because of the family rivalry with the Eubanks, moved up to fight a bigger man. But once he moved up, it's like when Roy went to heavyweight. It's a great example. It's not that he just moved up and he ate some extra pasta. The dude put on lean muscle. So now you're 160 with lean muscle. You got to melt off. It's hard to make the weight anyway, but you got to take off another 15, 13 pounds of lean.
Exactly. And you don't know what it does to the body when you have that extra poundage. Mario loves extra poundage. Yeah, well, Mex loves to be pounded, so, you know, there you go. No, I'm just kidding. That was basically that. Now, I want to share this. We will be live this weekend, okay, Saturday and Sunday, all right? We will be live for both of those days, and for Saturday, we'll be live early for the Hrgovic Moses Itiamo fight, all right? So they are fighting in London, and I think it's 4 o'clock walkout time Central. Let me see. Let's see. Main event ring walkout time expected 10 p.m. Oh, that's British time. 5 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, so 4 o'clock. So 4 o'clock's the walkout time. We'll probably be live like the fight before that. The Sam Noakes fight's a pretty good fight. We'll be live right before that, and then we'll stay live for the Katie Taylor. What time is Katie Taylor's walkout? Oh shit. 4 o'clock. All right. Well, that's going to be problematic. But we'll be live for both, so no biggie. Smalls. We will not only be live for Saturday's boxing and UFC, but we'll also be live on Sunday for All In, which I will be covering for fightsatw.com. You can go to fightsatw.com. That's fightsaroundtheworld.com. Make it your one-stop shop for all your combat sports news and info. I have my Raw recap up there from yesterday. Probably put together like an All-In preview, or maybe just like what I'm most looking forward to from All In. So, you know, just stay tapped into fightsatw.com. Make sure you are, you know, checking it every day, because I'm not the only badass writer on that staff. In fact, I am willing to say that it is a pound for pound, one of the best writing staffs in combat sports. So go to fightsatw.com and, you know, check it daily for all your combat sports stories and for my recaps on wrestling. No. Okay. So yeah, we'll be live for Moses this weekend. So we'll have the preview show either tomorrow or Thursday, but I'll post, so it doesn't matter. But before we get out, I just want to remind everybody, 5 o'clock Central Time, 6 o'clock Eastern, we'll be live on Matt's channel, talking about radio, TBR. Shout out to Matt Garces. Go to YouTube, talking about radio with Matt Garces, and subscribe. But this is Moses' top 5 knockouts. All right. And so if you are looking for something to do on a Saturday as we approach the NFL and college football seasons, kick it with us. We'll be live. And let me tell you, I've been getting nothing but great feedback from people who've been watching the fights with us. They say that my energy is fun and always interesting and makes the fights more interesting to watch. That is not me saying that. That is the community saying that. So I appreciate those words, and I urge you to join us for the watch party this weekend. And as I said, we'll be live for All In. I think Matt and I are going to both be live together for All In, but we'll see. So these are the top knockouts for Moses. If you are looking for a reason to want to watch, look at that. Fucking beautiful line of punching, bro. Beautiful line of punching. Ugh. And he's guarded up, bro. Guarded up, and he did that. This is August 16th of, I think, last year. No, 2023. My bad. God. I mean, he just folded, bro. Look at this shit. Folded him, dog. Oh, my gosh. And that jab, you know, it didn't land really, but it did what it was supposed to do. He's like one of the best young punchers behind the jab, I think, right now. This is the Menzeke fight. Ugh. Oh my gosh. I mean, that shot is just so well timed. Look at that. Ugh. And that's like he spammed that right, but he really didn't. He's mixing up the punches. Those are left, right, left. Or right, left, right.
Many current fighters and former champions pretty much.
All right, this is December 21st, 2024.
Will develop into a huge star at the top of this pugilistic tree.
Oh my gosh. And just this is just such high level stuff from this kid. And you know, look, I want to make this very clear, right? There are so many people ready to crown Moses. And you know, you've heard I'm sure you've all heard this shit, right? It's the next Tyson. He's, you know, I haven't seen anybody this good and this young since Mike Tyson in the heavyweight division. All these different things that they've compared him to other fighters who are explosive and were very impressive in their early career. That said, I don't want to go super far with it yet, right? Moses is talented. He looks great. But he hasn't seen a lot of resistance. And in the heavyweight division, that's really the test, right? Because, you know, the sweet science is a sweet science. But of all the divisions where the science gets a little murky, there exists a line between what works and what doesn't, because size is such an important factor, especially in the overweight heavyweight era, or oversized heavyweight era, I should say. But look, this is a shot straight to the chest. Okay, he purposely threw this punch. Now you'd ask why. So if he throws it to the face, right, he's going to end up, the opponent is going to end up blocking and having his hands up so that this punch is less effective. Okay. If he throws it to the body, yes, the hands down come down more, but now he's lower and gives more distance for this left to travel to the chin. Okay. So it's not that it's not that it's a bad shot. It's that it's not as successful percentage-wise as this. Throwing to the chest, a mid-range target, allows for the hands to drop while you stay in position for the overhand left. Okay, so this is all about positioning, and this is stuff that you don't really understand until you're a more experienced pro, right? This isn't the stuff you're doing in the amateurs. These aren't the kind of punches you're throwing. You're trying to score. right? If you're aiming for the chest, it's because you're aiming for the chest. But in this sense, he's aiming for the chest because he knows that that is the highest percentage punch to knock him out next. And there it is. So he goes to the chest right here. Right there. And now look where the hands go. See, they're automatically down, but he's right here. If he had dropped his weight lower to land a body shot, again, that arm, that hand, that punch has to travel a much longer distance. But all he needed was those hands to drop ever so slightly because he's already in position. That's just high-level shit right there, bro. That's just high-level shit.
Professional fight number 12 for the thrilling.
Oh, this was the
Moses
Logan
Italba
fight.
is yet to
Yeah,
lose
this was last year.
anything, amateur or pro.
Oh, that is nuts. I mean, bro, perfectly thrown. Just great distance, great angle, and probably like the maximum amount of torque you could get on that punch. But anyway, that is Moses. He will be fighting this weekend. We will be covering it. I want to say thank you all to Rick Glaser, who came on. If you didn't get to catch the interview with him, go back, watch it on the playback. We're on YouTube, X, Twitch, and IG. You can go to X, YouTube, Twitch, and TikTok and follow at InfightingFX, Infight Exchange, spelled INFIGHTINGFX. You got to put the @ sign before, or otherwise it won't pop up. Infighting FX, you can follow that on YouTube, X, and TikTok, as well as Twitch. If you want to follow me personally, at Marty Monkey on IG is where my personal is. And yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. We'll probably do the previews for the weekend fights. So if we don't do it tomorrow, we'll for sure do it Thursday, but I'm pretty sure we'll do it tomorrow. So we'll be back in Matt's domain in about 45 minutes. So if you want to continue talking wrestling, football, and all that stuff, hop on over to YouTube and subscribe to Talking About Radio. You know what? I forgot that we had that. Oh, okay, so never mind. So anyway, we'll be back a little bit later with Matt in about an hour, and we'll be back tomorrow. So please hit the sub, please hit the follow. Appreciate everybody that was watching live. Shout out to everybody that was in the chat: Mex, Matt, Alex, Bruce. Shout out to Team Batman and everyone else that was in the chat. Oh fuck, I forgot to go live on YouTube. No, on IG. Yeah, I think I did. Yep, I did. Fuck, that sucks. Oh well. Anyway, yeah, hit the follow, hit the sub. Until tomorrow, peace.